Final time in season 1. It's time to go racing here in the Virtual Racing Championship. Hello everyone and welcome to the finale of season 1's Virtual Racing Championship season. We have been to every single race on the 2018 Formula 1 calendar. We have completed countless laps, completed countless live streams. We have crowned a world champion in Jim Roy, formerly known as the Eagle Killer, and for the final time we have 19 drivers here competing for what is probably most arguably one of the most prized trophies on the calendar, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, one of the greatest sights in Formula 1, especially section here which we find Williams Alex currently undergoing, the man who finished second place last time out in a dramatic Brazilian Grand Prix. I'm your commentator and host for this evening for one final time, Ollie Glazebrook, and we're looking forward to what promises to be a very exciting Grand Prix ahead of us. Got a brief qualifying session ahead of us, 14 minutes to go. We may be joined by special guests later on in the stream, so make sure you stick around for that if you feel like it. Currently at the top of the timings is Apex, with Alex currently slotting in P2. We're going to have a look further down the grid. Here comes the Mercedes here of Rafa coming through this hotel section, this tight, intricate right-left, followed by double left-hander here as you go underneath the hotel section. A lovely section of corners there, one of my personal favourites, if not my favourite race on the F1 calendar. But for a finale, this is absolutely perfect. I love the nation of the United Arab Emirates, and Abu Dhabi and Dubai are just absolutely spectacular places for the F1 calendar and to F1 in general. Best Bob is in third, a nosebleed for him as he sits up there in P3. Rafa sits in fourth there after completing his lap. Lickle is out on track. Cherry Tupai's in the pits. Cliffy's coming through the final few corners. Let's see what he's able to do. Looks to be struggling just slightly with a little bit of oversteer, but he must be ramping up for a lap now. I think he might be. Yeah, Cliffy's just starting a lap. Here comes Nolan, formerly known as Mint Leclerc, signing for the VRC guys. Here, a little bit wavy there as he exits the corner in the Ferrari. He's opening up, it now comes into the pits. Casper losing the rear end there, complete tank slapper, moves himself up into P7. Let's have a look at the tyres the drivers have gone for. We'll go for their best lap tyres. So at the moment the top three all on the hyper soft tyres, whereas a lot of drivers have gone for the super soft tyres, the highest of the super soft runners. That is Rafa as things currently stand. Further down the field, here comes Lickle through the final corner, crossing the line, moves himself on to P7 on the soft compound tyres. Is anybody on a flying lap? It looks like the H Eagle is maybe coming through the final final sector shortly. Cliffy is on a lap now as well. Let's have a look, see if anybody is closer to the end of a lap. Looks like, I think, that's Rafa coming through the final corner. Is he going onto a lap or completing one? He comes across the line. He must be completing one. So if we move further down, you'll find the H Eagle is about to complete a lap around this beautiful Abu Dhabi circuit here at Yas Marina Circuit. The sunset will play an intricate part, as the sunset can actually blind some of the drivers with the lighting that it causes round here. Cherry Tupai has left the session. H Eagle crosses the line, moves himself up into P7. Moving further down, Cliffy is coming across the line now, and he moves up into P3 there. Good time from Cliffy. Let's have a look, see if we can get on board with Daniel now as he's coming through the final few sections. Look at this absolutely stunning camera angle here on board with Daniel. That might just be, for me, the most beautiful camera angle I've ever seen in a Formula 1 game. I love this circuit, and that's just given me a bit more love and appreciation. It's a shame it wasn't ended in a competitive lap from Daniel. Casper is hunting down behind Alex now as well. Let's have a look, see if we can go on board with anybody who's close to completing a lap. I think Rafa was ramping up for one, so he could be the next guy to come and improve on his lap time. It's a bit of a split grid at the moment for the hyper soft runners. What's everyone fitted? Yeah, a lot of the guys. The only guy who's gone out again on hypers is Best Bob. So I think a lot of sandbagging going on in the early stages of this Grand Prix. Here comes Rafa through the final few corners. Just ahead of him is a Haas car as Rafa darts into the pits. The Haas car could well be the H Eagle going round for another lap round here in the circuit. No, it's not the H equal. He's probably coming in for an in lap now. So let's see if we can jump on board with anybody and see who we can find. Let's have a look then. It's anyone close to completing a lap. Nico's just finishing, just starting. Cherry 2 Pies on an out lap. Nolan's crashed out and retired. Onyx is close to the end here, so we'll ride third person with some of these lovely harbour shots of these yachts, and some of the most expensive yachts you're going to find. It's not very often the F1 cars and the F1 teams are outpriced, but that hotel, this circuit, and them yachts might just have the cutting edge there. As they come through the final corner, losing the rear end, you can see there where Nolan's lost control of the car, and Onyx got a track invalidation. So Onyx almost replicating what Nolan did there in crashing out on board with Lucas and Pitmat, who are two guys at the set lap times as well. Very quick guys. We'll go with Lucas, he's the higher of the two, and then we'll drop down to Pitmat afterwards. TT Gioli moving to one side. There goes Lucas, losing the road a little bit on the curbing, so these drivers are starting to struggle slightly round here in the Asma Arena. Coming through the final section now. Let's see what Lucas is able to do. We know he's a quick driver, had a bit of misfortune last week, but showed his talents in the league overall. Obviously formerly known as Epic Gamer, obviously his name is Lucas. He darts into the pits. Here comes Pitmat now then, so we'll ride with him. Third person camera, it looks like he might just be slowing down. He is, so Pitmat has decided to back off of that lap as well and not set one. Cherry 2 Pie is cruising also. He doesn't look like he's pushing. He might just be trying to find a bit of a gap before he goes onto a lap. I'd be surprised if he darts into the pitch yet. Cherry 2 Pie is on a lap, so we'll ride on board with him as he comes through to start his lap here. It'll be his first complete lap and his first time on the board. He's got a set of the hyper soft tyres fitted to his car. He takes turn one rather nicely. It's an uphill inclined left-hander that turns to a quick right-hander, a slalom style S corner. Beautiful though. If you hit it at a decent speed there, you want to chuck the car into the first set of corners there and just glide it through the right-hander. Come into the hairpin, full lock there as you breeze through the hairpin and turn the power up as much as possible using all your ERS and DRS available to you. If you can get a tow as well during the race, and that could well be a simply furious and fast car if you can get it all tuned up nicely. Alex is now leading. He's a couple attempts ahead of Apex. He leads the session in qualifying. When you come through that slalom style chicane there, and it's beautiful section of the corner. That's where Nico Hulkenberg of course had his crash last season, which completely totaled his car and flipped it up onto its side and leaning onto the barricade. Roy has promoted himself up into P2. Cherry 2 Pie now coming through this left-right section. A tricky little three sets of corners there. A good overtaking opportunity, sharpest braking zone on the circuit other than the chicane down into the back straight. And now as he comes through the hotel section, tries to open it up nicely, doing a good job here, just cruising round, keeping it nice and clean as things stand. Opens up the corner early on the power, just getting as close to the wall as much as possible to open the corner up and get his maximum speed. Then he darts through the final corner. You just want to clip the apex, open up the power nicely. You can lose the rear end. He has lost it slightly there, and he got a lap invalidation. No time from Cherry 2 Pie. As things stand, is anybody on a lap time now? Let's have a look through the field. It looks like we're just getting them final batch of drivers maybe coming into the laps or going out. You've got Louis and Nico who have Louis and Nico who have decided to go out a little bit earlier than the rest of the guys because they feel they can get a time set on them tyres. Best time so far, you can see there, Best Bob on the Hypers, Apex on the Hypers. You got the only guys who have set times on the Hypers. Everyone else has set times on the super soft tyre. Fitted wise though, you can see a mixture of ultra soft for Apex and Ollie up there. You got Rafa, Will on the ultras as well. Hypers for Best Bob. Everyone else on the supers, apart from Louis, Nico and Cherry, who are all still on the Hypers and ultra soft for the bottom three. So a real mixed bag at the moment. We can't tell you realistically what the best set of tyres to go on to. Nico's just starting his lap now. Is anybody close to completing a lap? It looks like Onyx could well be. We're right on board with him then. But yeah, let's quickly run you through this beautiful circuit, obviously built in the middle of a desert, man. That's what makes it so special. There's that artificial harbour as well that was purposely built here. Right next to Ferrari World. It's an iconic circuit really in the middle of nowhere, and it's brought a massive amount of tourism to the local area. The people of Abu Dhabi and the United Arab Emirates have been joyously given this wealth of the oil that's come to this region, and of course massive companies such as Etihad and Fly Emirates have built up around these countries, and this company, and they're stupendous, an amazing job. And you can see the influence the likes of Etihad and Fly Emirates have had on not just the United Arab Emirates, but also the influence on the Western culture. We're finding, you know, say for example, when it comes to other sports, Etihad sponsors so many other sports, of course sponsoring F1 with the Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, but also you've got the there is Nico loses control of the car, and really seems to be struggling there. He had to set a time, a little bit surprising from Nico. He's normally a quite compelled driver, nice mindset on him, and he done very well last week to just complete the time that he did, and he done really well in the race. But he's obviously misfortunate with the crash that happened and the incidents that unfolded. He would have been probably up there for driver of the day, so his lap's over. I'm surprised he's not coming. Yeah, he has come into the pit, so that does not surprise me at all from Nico there, you know, that he's come into the pits to set just over 3.5 minutes. We've got a decent amount of time left. Louis just cranking up a lap. There's a lot of guys not to set times. Louis, Nico, Cherry, Onyx, Daniel, Lucas, Pitmat, all of which have yet to set lap times this evening so far. So a lot of guys still have to set times around here. So, on board with Louis, who's heading down this back straight now. He's completed one lap, and I'm surprised he hasn't come in, but obviously he feels he hasn't got enough time, so he has to desperately try his best. But if he starts from P12, as things currently stand, it's not actually the end of the world from him. You'd think that's not the worst place to be. Is anyone close to completing a lap time? Onyx is just starting. We'll try and run on board with anybody who's close. Roy and a couple of the Apex is Sauber there. McLaren heading down. It looks like Rafa is going to be the closest one to complete a lap time around here this afternoon. As you can see, the sun's starting to set. The track's getting a little bit cooler now as well, so we're going to see them tempered changing of the conditions around here for the Grand Prix. We'll keep an eye on that because that's probably the most iconic part of this circuit. With 2.5 minutes to go, the Mercedes flies through the final corner. A decent line there from Rafa, just avoids losing the rear end, and he moves onto the top step, and that's pole position for Rafa. 5 tenths up, 1 minute 34 dead. He's now got the time to beat from all these guys behind him. You can see, look at, there's Alex coming out the pitch, the whole gaggle of cars coming in behind him. Here comes Roy across the line to start his lap. Is he going to come out close to Alex? He is going to come out very close. You can see that in the background of Apex there, it looked like Lickle. It was Lickle losing the rear end, but this whole gaggle of cars now starting to exit. There's Casper with the Renaults of Will and Cliffy very quickly behind him. They're all very close together, bunching up nicely. Best Bob coming through the middle section now to, I imagine, complete a lap. But Casper's now going to try and let the two Renaults go because he doesn't want to get held up in their squabble, and he wants to find as much clear air as possible. They're going to have to get the move on there. Cliffy's now let them two go, and further behind you can see the Williams. There's a Toro Rosso as well of I believe that's Cherry 2.8 so this whole gaggle of cars in the midfield are going to try and squabble to find some space with just under 2.5 minutes to go. They're going to have to try and time this perfectly. Onyx is retired. Look at the stream of cars. They've all left it as late as possible. They all want to have that perfect gap and have that ultimate line, if you will, and if at the moment things are not going ideally for them. I think the guy in the front there, I think that's the Williams of Nico, it is. Probably finds himself in the best position. Lucas is breezing round the circuit. He's going to find himself in a little bit of traffic at the moment. He's putting his foot down because he wants to make sure that he completes a lap. Is anybody close to completing a lap? It looks like everyone's just ramping up and squabbling at the moment. Roy's coming across the line. No, let's see what he can do. Through the final section here, he will be able to set another lap time after this. Rapid retires at top 5 from the session. A big part to be played, I'd imagine, by Roy out lap. Roy sets the fastest lap. He goes 5 tenths quicker what Rafa was able to set. Alex is coming through the final few corners to start his lap. You can see ahead there the Toro Rosso of I believe that's Casper ahead of him. So they're all starting to pile up a little bit here. Is anybody? I think they're all going to be very tight here to set a lap time. Lickle has got through the final corner to set his lap. Look how close it's going to be for Casper. He's going to have to really get his foot down if he wants to set the lap here. He crossed the line and just about sets it. Is anybody else close to not setting a lap time? Lucas is going very slowly there and has backed off. Is anyone? I think everyone's got across the line. TTG Ollie has pitted. Now it's just a mad case to see who is closest to setting a lap time. We'll go to Best Spot first. He looks to be the first one to come across the line and see that checkered flag. Qualifying is coming to a close here around Yas Marina. Through the final corner comes Best Spot. Just avoids the apex there, not the quickest time. He's in P10 at the moment. Can he improve? He moves up to P9 ahead of Cliffy on the hyper soft tyres. That could change though, because a lot of these guys look to be going very quick. The H-Eagle, a talented driver in his own right, is going to be starting ahead of Lucas, who's had an absolute shocker this evening and not done well for his standards, but he's starting outside the top 10, which could be a blessing in disguise. Here comes the H-Eagle through the penultimate corner. Not the quickest from him. He's going to come across the line. Pitman moves up into 7th. TTG Ollie across the line in P5. He was on an in lap anyway. The H-Eagle across the line, moves up to P2, 1 minute 33.7. Who is next? Alex is pretty far along on his lap, but not far enough. Cliffy is closed. Nico looks to be the closest. Cherry Tupai has lost it and ended up in a wall. So Cherry Tupai has completely crashed and spun there. Wasn't a good third-person camera. Casper's going to be the last one across the line. We'll go on board with I think Cliffy is going to be next across the line. He's completely locked up. You can see ahead there is the Ferrari of... no, it wasn't the Ferrari. We'll go to Will Murdoch. That's the McLaren ahead of him of Lickle, who crosses the line, stays P10. Will Murdoch moves up into 5th there, looking at Alex, who's completely lost it and lost control of the car through the final few corners, and he's the last guy to come across the line to set a lap time. So he'll be starting in P9, and that is qualifying completed there for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, and for the final time in Season 1 of the Virtual Racing Championship. Qualifying has ended, and it's pole position for the man who seems to do it every single week. Roy sits on pole from the H-Eagle in 2nd. So there it is. Nico leads from Roy. Nico got pole position. Apologies, I did not see Nico get up there. Wow, Nico coming out of nowhere on the Hypersofts, mind you. So Roy will be in a much better situation come the race. But a pole position for Nico out of absolutely nowhere from Roy in 2nd. It's H-Eagle in 3rd. 4th is Rafa. Will Murdoch is in 5th. 6th is Apex. 7th is Onyx. Ollie is in 8th. But Alex in 9th after that late spin with Pitmat in P10. 1.5 seconds off of pole position. Lickle in 11th, Casper in 12th, and the drivers didn't get a chance there. They've all readied up so quickly, but that is the qualifying classifications. One final time, Nico gets the final pole position of the first season of the Virtual Racing Championship, stealing Roy's thunder. The champion get to have the perfect final race here, and it's all set up very nicely to create some absolutely breathtaking drama around the Yas Marina circuit here at the Etihad Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So put down who your money is on. Roy has got the Ultra Softs to start on, with the two guys closest to him, the guy closest to him, ahead of him, in Nico starting on the Hyper Soft tyres, which is going to throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. See how long them Hypers can last. It's Hypers, Ultras, Supers are the tyre choices around here. So the quickest possible compounds available to the drivers around this circuit. Of course, in 2019's Formula 1 season, it's completely changed with different compounds all being bracketed under the soft, medium, hard compound. Different variations and different styles of tyres and different compounds are still available. They're just coloured differently, and they're just under a different bracket of how the tyres are working. So it keeps it nice and, I wouldn't say basic, but it keeps it more simple for the casual viewer who might not know the different colours. And obviously the colour systems are just not as in depth. Say if you don't want to be looking at pink tyres, you've just got red, yellow and white tyres to look at. Obviously back in the day you only used to have a couple of tyre compounds, if not just one tyre compound sometimes back in F1, so it's nowhere near as technical as it once was. We're having a little bit of trouble at the moment for some reason. Lobby hasn't loaded up, so we'll wait and see what happens here as we wait to go onto the formation lap. It seems a little bit A little bit, yeah, we're stuck on the grid according to one of the drivers. So this seems very odd as things currently stand. We'll see what happens here. Seems to be a little bit of a glitch in the game. So we wait to find out what happens. Apparently we're waiting until 28 minutes past, so we're just waiting to see what happens. Apologies for this, I've got absolutely no clue what's going on. Apparently the drivers are sitting on the grid. We're currently just looking at a third person camera angle. I've got to say, Rafa's pit box looks absolutely sensational. But yeah, it's a little bit odd what's happening. We'll see what happens. We are finding out 28 minutes past. Got a couple of comments about esports ready. It looks like we're migrating hosts, so it looks like we are changing lobbies, which isn't ideal. Probably be one shot qualifying if anything. A few drivers are now leaving. Yeah, it looks like we are going to be migrating lobbies, so bear with us while we try and fix this problem. Oh, the lobby has now seemingly worked. It looked like Apex was the problem, but I'd imagine we're going to be so yeah, it looked like once Apex left, the lobby got working again, so we will be resetting up very, very shortly. We just get to enjoy the views of these drivers spinning then, as things currently stand. There's a lot of guys just leaving the session at the moment as we wait for invites to streak out. So yeah, I'd be very surprised if we do a complete qualifying session again. If not, it's more likely going to be one shot. A lot of drivers still racing around track as we wait for the lobby to be reset up by the host pit mat ahead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So, fair dues for everyone who's still here, Casper. I thought, to be completely honest with you, if I was these guys, I'd just be doing donuts. The HE guy would be just going around doing donuts. But the game has seemingly broken, and there's nothing that we can do about that. Sadly, we're not coders. We are simply trying to play a game that we paid money for. That's gone very well. So hopefully we'll just be customising the grid as Casper's put down. It may be one shot, I'm not too sure. I don't want to sit through qualifying again, I'll be completely honest with you. I want to be racing, or I think we all want to be racing. We'll try and get this sorted with the new lobby. As you can see, we are currently joining, and we're gonna quickly go into a muted zone. We'll take a few minutes, and then once we're up and running again, we will commentate. to go. The session is now loading up, and this has gone well. So we've we added some music in there, just playing some music while we waited for the session to get going. Gotta love no copyright sound, so maybe in future we'll do that as we wait for lobbies and streams to get going. Maybe, just maybe. Welcome everybody. If you would like us to play the F1 theme tune just before, can do. There'll be no copyright on this thing. Well, there will be copyright, but I don't really think anyone will really mind. If you want us to play the F1 theme tune while we wait on the formation lap, please do let us know down in the comments below, because we will get that done for you. We're more than happy to have that as a thing if that's what you want. We'll maybe work our way into that. So welcome along to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix once again. Let's hope we can get racing very, very shortly. While the lobby loads in, let's hope that qualifying has worked and the grid is set up as it originally was done. We will not be playing Fireman Sam, maybe Bob the Builder or the Teletubbies. But as we wait now for this Grand Prix to get up and running here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, it's with bated breath we sit here and wait to see if the lobby is going to load in. We're all very hopeful. Looking at them left-hand side of the screen at the loading circles, who'll be the first one to tick off. Very, very hopeful. There goes Nico. So we are well and truly underway as we wait for the drivers now. We're just moments away from the formation lap and the start of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Here we go then, qualifying is completed, the grid is back the way it was, and the formation lap is well underway, and by the power of the people, it's time for some Fireman Sam. We'll quickly then have a look at the tyre choices. The top guys have all changed, they've all started on the tyres that they qualified on, which is a very respectable thing. Nice to see they've all done that. Let's take a look then at the remaining drivers. You've got Lickle, who's on the ultra soft tyres, with the remaining guys who start outside of the top section of qualifying there, from Dan Daniel to Casper, all on the red striped super soft tyres. Further up the field, some guys to keep a close note on. Roy on the ultra soft, so too with Rafa and Will Murdoch, are probably going to have a little bit of grip compared to the guys around them on the hypers, who are going to find their tyres wear off very, very quickly. Further down though, Alex on the super soft, with the highest running super soft driver here this afternoon, and we're going to keep it nice and tight as things go. So we'd like to thank our sponsors, No Copyright Sounds, for keeping the stream going, because we would rather have that than complete silence as things settle down here ahead of 28 laps of the Yas Marina circuit. Nico is on pole from your champion Roy in P2. We're just moments away from lights out for the very final time here in the Virtual Racing Championship. Who's your money on? Put down in the comments below. If you are a driver, let us know if you've got any predictions for this Grand Prix or goals before you line up. We'd love to hear from you and get the driver's mindset. Conditions for the race, well, there's a couple of clouds in the sky, but I'm pretty confident we won't be seeing any droplets of rain here in the United Arab Emirates. All the drivers have lined up onto the grid, and we're just sitting here now waiting, and there is the green flag fluttering, and we are about to get underway. It is the Williams of Nico on your left, Roy in the Red Bull on your right with 5 red lights, and we are racing here at the Asperina circuit. A fantastic start there from Roy, who's outdone Nico off the start and got his tyres at the full temperature. Further behind, the Williams of Will has had a great start. Rafa and Apex squabbling behind. You can see the 2 McLarens getting close. Look at the Mercedes and the Sauber tangling up wheels there. The Force India are going to try and take full advantage of Onyx there. They're 3 abreast as they head down into the corner. This could be chaos. Squeezed out goes the Sauber. The Renault clips the rear wheel, and it's pure chaos. The Williams has gone off. The Red Bull has crashed into the rear end. They've all made their way through there. They're contacting the further back. Cherry 2 goes for a lane. And there goes Louis as well, side by side with him. Pitmax held his place well nicely there, and Cherry 2 almost runs into him, but TTG Ollie and Will Murdoch come to blows there with the Williams as well. Further ahead, Dan Daniel, Cherry 2 and co all making their way through, 4 abreast potentially between these guys. Up the inside it goes Alex, a very quick driver on the super soft tyres. He's going to go for the switchback here with Nolan. Side by side they go, and Alex gets the position done. He's going to hang it and continue to go down the start finish straight. We'll see further up, is there any close battles? There is between the top guys in Roy, Nico and the Sauber of the H Eagle. Look at Nico pushing Roy through the left-right section there as they open it up through the middle sector now. Nice and tight. It is Roy from second who's hunting him down at a rapid rate of knots on the soft tyre for the Williams driver. Slots in P2 of Roy getting the ultimate start up into P. Will has potential safety car warning. Louis has got past Vespov, falling behind. You can see they've gone wide. He's going very close with Nolan in the Ferrari, and there's Vespov going backward at a rapid rate of knots. He got a problem there, or has he just gone off and got dust on his tyres? They're going side by side now with Cherry 2 and it looks like Cherry 2 has to slot in as he has got damage after the contact further up the field. So too into the pits comes Nolan, as they're the first guys to come into the pits along with Daniel. Further up the field, let's have a look. Casper has got Lucas onto his rear end. Lucas with a lightning start there. Let's see who's gained the most places, shall we? Let's have a look at the intervals and we'll get the tyres. We look at the position. Lucas has gained 7 places, the most of any driver up there, with Casper and Lickle, who have both gained 5 places respectively. Onyx in P2 with Roy and Nico trading places. Let's have a look then on board with Nico as he's hunting down his rival just ahead of him. You can see how close the gaps are. Is there any sizably close gaps? Lucas hunting down the F2 AOR driver, a competitive driver at that, but I don't think he's going to have much to do with Lucas. He's going to have to slot in there and allow the Haas driver to go by the VGIA driver, doing a great job moving up into P7. Casper just behind him, being hunted now down by Apex, but not the great start to this Grand Prix. The Hypersofts of Apex will be much more competitive in these stages compared to tyres who are just behind him. Casper can swing it around the inside and hold the plate. He does so, making Apex go the long way round if he wants to get round at all. Pit map looking behind, just cruising up to the rear end. Our commentator from last week is slotting in there, and he's just trying to take full advantage of any contact potentially made between these two. Further on in this Grand Prix, a lock up there from Apex, putting Casper under a little bit of pressure as he runs wide. It could be a tight battle. We'll look further at the field as Nico is very close onto Roy. You can see he's got to try and make full advantage of the Hypersoft tyres while he has them. He would not have wanted this. If he would have been further ahead, he would have probably cruised away a little bit from Roy, as he would have had clean air available to him, but that is not the case. He has to slot in behind 2 by a 3-second time penalty as he makes his way through that middle sector at the moment. The first guy to get a penalty in this Grand Prix. Roy now has been hunted down by the Spaniard of Nico, the pole sitter of this Grand Prix, dropping down to P2 after a dismal start compared to Roy. Through the hairpin they go now. He has to maximise this exit. We'll get this beautiful camera angle as he's hunted down by the Sauber and the Williams respectively, with Rafa and the Mercedes just behind him, who ride on board. He has DRS available to him now with that ERS and rich mix available. He's closing in very, very quickly. It's like a sniper zooming in, and he's getting close. He's later on enough now. If he can get a better exit compared to Roy here, which he looks to have done, he's lost to remain slightly, but it looks to be a much better exit compared to Roy, and this could be the moment he needs. He's going to be getting very, very quickly if Roy can defend that inside line, which he's not doing so. He's letting the Williams take the inside line. Can he get it slowed down just in time? He does so. A lovely manoeuvre from the Williams, roots himself back into the lead of this Grand Prix. The first time he's led this Grand Prix in the corner. He's now done it for 2 to him. He's done much when he started this race. Roy drops down into P2 with Apex now picking up a time penalty as well. The H Eagle is behind them and trying to take advantage. You can see Rafa has got a of a train there of Onyx and Lickle behind him. They got Lucas, who's pulled away 2.4 seconds to Casper, who's got pit just on his rear end. Alex and Louis trading places further down as well. So looking at this battle as well, battle for fourth is starting to hot up. Pit Matt is not really close enough at the moment to Casper to threaten the Toro Rosso driver as things currently stand. Onyx chasing down Rafa as well, involved in this pack. You can see the H-Eagle, Roy and Nico all leading the top 3 spaces, occupying the podium, but it is very close, and Roy is not letting Nico go. So Nico's tyres may well have been knocked to in position to get past him, but now it looks like Roy might just be quicker than him and might be finding out in them ultra soft. As you can imagine, they last a lot longer compared to the high tyre. Now he's going to get this manoeuvre done much quicker and much crisper than his compadre in the Williams, as things, not compadre, his well, compadre, I mean friend, yeah, technically, yeah. Looking further behind, the Williams, the Force India of Onyx has got past Rafa, who's now got Lickle onto the inside line racing. He's Mercedes getting for both of them, so it won't be too effective. Later on the brakes, he's thinking about doing it. He ends up the inside, he makes contact with the Mercedes, and they get away with it nicely there, but could have been big damage for the Mercedes and McLaren. But he drops in there, and that has now allowed Rafa just dropping behind Onyx a little bit, who's going to try and hunt down the 2 ahead of him. Roy couldn't get the manoeuvre stuck with Nico as he got back past him under the braking zone. Will ride on board with the H-Eagle, who's going to get the perfect view of these two. But you can see just in the background, Onyx in the Force India now has just got himself involved as well, so he could be a vital chess piece in this game. He could be the pawn to the pawn of the side of the queen that is currently Nico, who's being hunted down. We'll look further behind. Rafa is under serious threat from Lickle, but Roy is putting Nico under major threat. So we'll start with Roy, who's going to have a chance to go into the braking zone here as he comes into the left-hander. Onyx with a time penalty. He's going to have a chance to lunge it here, just avoiding the rear end of Nico, who looks a little bit more apprehensive on them brakes and then pink walled Hypersoft tyres. Right, they're starting to fall off the wet side just slightly. Nolan now picks up another time penalty, so he joins the casualties of the time penalty brigade. Now here comes the chasing Red Bull. The Bulls have come to roost in this Grand Prix, and he is hunting him down at a rapid rate of knots. Pulls to the inside line. Similar move to last time. Can he make it stick this time, though? We saw Nico get a great slipstream and DRS down the back straight to get back past the Red Bull. See what can be done here. Another time penalty for Cherry 2Pi. It looks like the Red Bull is going to be slightly safe if he can defend this inside line, but here comes the Williams, who has much superior straight line speed when he has the aid of ERS and Rich Mix available to ERS, and he gets the manoeuvre done, and Roy is frustrated. He can't get past Lickle. Another driver who's incredibly frustrated. Lucas getting a time penalty now also. Frustration must be rich through the veins now of Lickle, who knows he's much quicker than Rafa but can't get it done. Is he going to go for a late lunge up the inside here? He's going to try and scare Rafa into making a mistake and doesn't do a good enough job into putting the fear of God there, who is just going to hold on to P5 for much longer. I'm not too sure because it is very tight, but Roy cannot seem to get past Nico as things stand, whose tyres will begin to drop off very shortly. Just behind him, though, this can actually be aiding the H-Eagle, who is on the Hypersoft tyres also in this hunting him down. It may just aid him in the fact that he could maybe just clean up and keep his time pressure who's going to squabble with Roy to gain on positions, going on to the dirtier side, picking up marbles and maybe some debris of incidents that have happened earlier on in this Grand Prix that maybe washed up onto the side of the track, which could be a risk of puncture for these drivers. You can just see here the H-Eagle is keeping it keen and keeping with the DRS. You can see Onyx behind now is in that 1 second gap. Maybe just hunt him down. You can see the down, but if him, you think maybe, just maybe, it'd be wiser to just slip him and just let this battle go on. Maneuver done where Nico seems to get, then you have the entirety to try and make that maneuver. Here comes the H-Eagle. Sorry, formerly known as the H-Eagle. Roy now hunting down Nico. He's getting closer and closer, coming to a late brash move if he wants to get it done, maybe forcing Nico into a mistake. You can see a little lock up on the left hand side of his car there, but cannot get it done. Rafa and Lickle by the side. Lickle's going to the outside line. He's cut off Rafa and said there's no keep me behind that much longer, when you can see where Onyx is and how much he's flourished in these conditions. You can see the sun is starting to set with the cloudy Abu Dhabi sky just above us It is currently Nico from Roy, the H-Eagle, Onyx in 4th, with Little just overtaking Rafa to promote himself up into P5. Now Rafa is going to have Luke battle with, who is caught onto the rear end of this slot as well. So if Lickle can maybe gain onto the rear end and Lucas gets past Rafa quickly, we could have ourselves a 6-way scrap for the lead of this Grand Prix. Right on board with Roy now, who is not who's not giving up on this place here. He is hunting down the Williams of Nico. The Spaniard is doing a very brave job in defending, and he's actually costing Roy quite a lot of time with them ultra softs that are not really showing. They haven't gone through like this. But Nico really struggling though on them hypers there as he gets on the curbing, and you can see that the driver formerly known as the Eagle has been hunted down by the H-Eagle behind, and you can see much closer compared to last lap, and he might be able to make it stick because it looks like Nico has lost a lot of confidence on his set of hyper soft tyres. There is Roy having to defend against Nico, going to try and squeeze him out. Look how close Onyx is behind as well. So you've got yourselves one mighty scrap as Roy emerges round the corner. He's going to have to defend against Nico. If he can keep him behind him this time, it's going to be very, very tough for Nico, who is squeezing his way through an impossible gap and tries to think about it. Roy completely blocks him off. A great bit of defensive driving there from Roy, and now that's put the H-Eagle right in the mixer to get past Nico, who got a little bit too brave and a little bit too brash there. He should have gone the other way, but he didn't go for it. He tried to go for an impossible move where there was no gap, and he slots in to 3rd place to try and get past the H-Eagle. Respite for Roy up in top now, who's 1 second ahead of the H-Eagle, who won't have DRS. You can see Nico is starting to struggle as well. Onyx is showing serious pace on them them ultra soft tyres, where the H-Eagle is on the hypers and doing a very good job, whereas Nico is starting to fall off a little bit, but he's still going in this Grand Prix. No, he's started into the pits. He knows that his time at the end of their life cycle, and now this means that the he is left in the elements, you could say, the H-Eagle. He is the highest running Hypersoft driver who started on them with Apex a little bit further behind and starting on the Hypersofts as well. So he's a little bit in uncharted territory at the moment, but can he pull away from Onyx behind, who was coming at him at a rate of knots? Lickle and Rafa are just behind. Rafa's not actually been pulled away from too much by Lickle in the McLaren. Lucas is all over the rear end of the Mercedes, just clipping the wheel there, lucky to get away with no little debris or damage there picked up from running into the side of the wheel of Rafa there. But doing a good enough job, Lucas. Needs to try and get past the car ahead of him as quickly as possible. Things have started to die down. You can see Lucas hasn't got the straight line speed to get past Rafa this time. A little bit in his house car, just going to try and cruise up behind him. You can see there a little snap of oversteer as he just tries to control the car. Nice yellow to 1. Let's see if we can see what's happening. Not too sure. Pit Matt and Alex are battling it away. Pit Matt trying to come back at Alex now, who got past him going into that chicane. Here comes Pit Matt, going to be later on the brakes. I think Alex is going to have him here though. Better of it, and he just slots in behind Alex, and that is P9 for Alex, P10 for Pit Matt, who has got Alex just behind him. Runners, you've got Nico who's emerged in P13, shows how tight the grid is. Nolan pitted lap 1, so 2 down Daniel, Cherry 2 by 1 onto the ultra soft tyres. Lap 6. So, who are we going to run on board with now? It looks to be quite tight still. Look at Rafa gaining onto the rear end, a little bit of Lickle there, so he's not pulled away from too much. Neglectful thing for Lucas, who wants to get past him. He dives into the pits, who's battling with Cluffy. Is on near the back of the H-Eagle. He relatively is, but look at pulling away. It's 3 seconds of a second there. Just behind, you can see that H-Eagle is dropping back a little bit now from the main field. We're going to quickly leave you with this battle while I quickly pop and get myself a drink because I forgot my water. Onyx continues to go round, but there's a gaggle of cars coming into the pits just behind him. Lickle and the H-Eagle have called it and has come in there. Onyx getting past the H-Eagle, who is dropping like a fly on them ultra soft tyres, and Lickle has pulled the plug on them on the ultra soft, sorry, and is coming to the pits as well. Let's see what the pair of them go on to. There's the McLaren just behind, who looks to be going and getting a front wing change as well. He's got rid of his ultras and gone on to a set of the super soft. So too has Lickle there, as they're all just cruising around this circuit at the moment and just keeping it nice and clean. But a little bit of front wing damage for Lickle there has cost him a few places. Nico has jumped him, who's onto the rear end of Cliffy in the yellow and black Renault Sports F1 team car, hunting him down. Nico's on a bit fresher tyres compared to Cliffy. Let's see what he's able to do. Like, hunting him down. Slipstream available to him. Onto the third person cam, you can see how close he is, like a Henry Hoover. He's suctioning in there very, very rapidly. The Williams has got the manoeuvre done, and that is him past Cliffy for P9. Rafa and Lucas battling it away. Lucas has finally got the manoeuvre done on Rafa. He's been behind him for a few laps, and now we can start to focus on hunting down Onyx, who is 5 seconds behind Roy, who has now found himself in almost no man's land. He's much quicker than Onyx on the same tyres, on the same length of time they've been on them as well, and they're probably on a similar degradation as Cherry 2 and Pitmap both get 3-second time penalties there. Cherry 2's race is all but over, you'd imagine. He is really far behind, and plenty of penalties to his name as well. Of 28, this is Roy from Onyx. Lucas in third as Onyx starts into the pits, releasing Lucas into somewhat fresh air. 6 seconds up the road is Roy, so Roy is absolutely flying on his ultra soft, as Lucas on the super soft could still have something to say about this Grand Prix. Let's see where he comes out in regards to Nico. Onyx, there's Onyx exiting the pits now, and Nico has come quite clearly ahead. Nico, who is battling for the race lead with Roy before he darted into the pits, maybe done a bit more wiser move compared to the H-Eagle, who is a bit of a way behind him as things stand, you can see there, but he's on older tyres compared. It's a round about 7.5 second gap between Nico and the H-Eagle as things currently stand, with the H-Eagle starting to gain onto the rear end of Cliffy. But look at Nico, they're really struggling as he rides on the curb, just trying to keep that car nice and safe. Nico's onto the Eagle, them coming into the pits relatively close to each other. Quite a lot of with their second impact in the final sector alone. Here comes Onyx riding the team of the H-Eagle, making him go the long way round. It will turn from the outside to the inside line here. If they can stay side by side, the H-Eagle is not letting up there and not giving him an inch or a mile. If he has anything to say about it, he's got the pace and held onto it past the H-Eagle. But here comes Onyx once again, much superior. Almost a bit of wheel barging between the two of them. Onyx with much better braking capacity on the super soft tyres has got the place done and moves himself up into P9, which could well be a net P2. It will be a net P3 technically, as things stand, with Nico just a few seconds up the road from them. Waiting for the top guy, says Rafa and Roy pitting, so we'll keep an eye on where Roy comes compared to Nico. There's Nico coming down the start-finish straight now, and there's Roy going underneath the tunnel. This is going to be incredibly close between the two of them, but Nico is going to emerge, as you can see there, and Roy will be just behind him. There's Roy emerging now. There's the Williams ahead of him, and Roy has dropped into P2 behind Nico. Importantly, he's on fresher tyres. They're on the same compound of tyres till the end of the Grand Prix now. Lap 12 of 28, just shy of the halfway mark on lap 14. It is Nico who leads from Roy. A little bit of drama here. Roy's going to get the manoeuvre done back on Nico. He led from turn 1, but can he get back past him here? It's going to be tight, but if anyone can, it most certainly is Roy. To try out for a little bit longer of Lucas, who now leads 2.3 seconds from Rafa in Nico from Roy. Cliffy is in a bit of a sandwich. It's between him and between himself and Onyx. You can see 6 seconds of a second between Onyx and Roy. So Onyx hasn't really gained on his in-lap compared to Roy, who's now going to try and get his tyres up to temperature as he hunts down Nico, who's just 1.8 seconds off the road. It could be very quick manoeuvre if Roy can get going nice and sharpish. Best spot picking up a time penalty. The H-Eagle overtaken by Onyx with ease. Here comes Alex on aggressive line compared to the Toro Rosso, the Williams driver, doing something the Williams in real life can't do, and he's competing at a high level of motorsports racing at the moment. Louis is closing in on Rafa, who's now darted into pits. Another time penalty for Cherry 2 by. Here comes Alex of the Williams. Now his first opportunity with DRS to get close to Casper. You can see up the road there as well. There's Louis. Into the pits comes Cliffy and Rafa. So it's not too far from Casper realistically. You can see Roy's quite yellow flag and set to free. Cliffy has crashed out down in the pits, or is he retired? I think Cliffy's retired from the session, or has crashed out in the pit lane. I'm going to have a look to the right hand side there. I can't see him in the pit. I think he's in the pits. If he overtakes, yeah, Cliffy has retired in the pits. We'll see what happened to him very shortly. The HE is letting Onyx go, and Alex is closing in on Casper. Yellow flag to 1 still. Is somebody gone off, or is that still just Cliffy? I think it's still Cliffy. Big shame for him though, as he was looking like he was doing a good enough job in his car there, but it's a big shame for him. He's just dropped in behind, and that's him done for this race. And it's a shame Cliffy, for the final time this season, picks up a retirement, meaning now it's between Cherry 2 Pie and Best Bob to who's going to finish last in the final Grand Prix. Best Bob loves the back of the grid. Cherry 2 Pie has got customised to it somewhat as well, and has dropped in to 17th place. And there's a big old gap between him and Cherry 2, him and Best Bob. Best Bob has spun going down into the right hander on the exit the pit lane, which has probably allowed Cherry 2 Pie to get relatively close to him. They're on completely, I mean, they're both on the same sort of pit stop. For some reason Best Bob has pitted onto the hyper tyres in this Grand Prix, and he does not look on them hypers unless he's waiting for Cherry 2 Pie to have a bit of a battle or something to do. I'm not too sure. Maybe they want to go out and start. Let's have a look then on Roy, close to Nico. It looks like Casper and Alex has started to ease up slightly. Roy, with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, is reeling in Nico in the Williams stand. Nico's teammate is just 1.6 seconds up the road, so they could come into a little bit of traffic here, which could be a minor spanner in the works. You can see Roy is a little bit off the 1 second gap he needs to be to have DRS from Nico, who looks to have turned up the wick slightly. He's starting to gain onto the rear end of this battle. You're going to see him just there, and in the background you can see Roy. So it's nice and tight between 3rd down to 6th, with Onyx and H Eagle a little bit further behind for that final podium space. Here comes Alex, who's got the manoeuvre done on Casper even before the braking zone. He slots in ahead of him. The purple tinted Toro Rosso do anything about that. The sports sport energy drink style sponsoring with a little glimmer of purple. It's going to be a blue evening for him there, as he has to slot in behind Alex go into the distance, which could now be a little bit of span in the work of Nico, who probably would have had assistance from his teammate to let him pass. And look how close he is. He's all over the rear end of him. Roy's going to be getting very, very close here because there's no blue flags. They've got to get past him legitimately, and this is going to be a beautiful saving grace for Roy, especially if these two come into the pits ahead of him at the end of this lap, because Roy will have all the benefits of getting onto the rear end of them with none of the of following cars closely behind. You can see Casper there. He's holding up the Williams of Nico at a rapid rate of knots to see what he can do as he slots in behind him. Alex is starting to struggle way ahead of him. Casper stays out, so too does Alex. So Roy have the benefits, but so too Nico of the double DRS and slipstream available to him. Casper might drop out that 1 second mark if Alex can get a little bit ahead of him through this first section. Let's see what he can do here. Hunting him down. The Williams is doing a solid job as things currently stand, just hunting him down at a nice careful rate as he looks to try and gain onto the rear end of him. And Louis has left the session there as well. So Louis, who is running up in P3, has left the session. You can see Nico is desperate to get past. There's the ghost car of Louis getting in the way somewhat of this battle between this lot as things currently stand. Hunting him down. Casper looks like he's dropped in behind now. Slipstream and DRS available to him. Here comes Nico at a rapid rate, looking behind. There goes Roy. Roy is very, very quick as he looks potentially on Nico. Casper doesn't see Roy coming, but Roy knows what he wants to do. With a lovely camera angle, you can see Roy's got the manoeuvre done, and now leaves Nico potentially a sitting duck now, as he's been held up a little bit by the Casper battle. And here comes Roy for the race lead of this Grand Prix. He moves over to one side. It's a tight battle. He goes round the outside. It's a long way if he wants to do it. He gets it done. Grip compared to the Williams of Nico. He's going to come back at him. No, Roy moves up into Leaders Grand Prix, but on track is P3 for him. Next up is his old rival and his Williams teammate. So the drivers are going to let out on track, and the next up is going to be Lucas, who is a little bit away ahead, 7.8 seconds, who currently leads this Grand Prix ahead of Alex Pitts. Nico's crashed out. Nico has crashed out. You can see him there on the right-hand side of your screen. Nico has crashed into the barricade just after the tunnel of the hotel. You can see here with Nolan a little bit of a better view. There he is, just on the right-hand side of your screen. We'll get a good view here with pit map there. And that is a huge shame for Nico, who has left this session. He was in P2, which has now promoted Casper into the second place, but with Onyx, when everyone pits, Lucas comes into the pits. Where's he going to exit? A relatively high position for him, P7. A great showing for him as he's recovered to P7, but there's Rafa pretty close, and that's his old rival in Rafa. He's exited the pits very much onto his rear end. It's going to be a bit of dirty air. His tyres will be much colder. You can see Lickle ahead of them as well, but there is definitely potential here for Lucas to pick up podium in the very final round of the VRC Season 1 Championship. It's a tight one between the two of them. Here comes Lucas now, slightly quicker. He's on the ultras compared to the super softs of that Mercedes. He's made his tyres last a lot longer compared. And this close battle between the two of them. Let's just send Lucas come out on top. So that was the hunting down. Let's see what turns rear. He's got a say to Rafa currently stand. Lucas is just hunting down the McLaren of Lickle here. This massive amounts of pace. He's on the ultra soft guy. He's on the ultra soft guys. Alex is also pitted for the ultra softs. Yellow flags in sector 3. I don't see any drops of pace, so somebody has just run wide. Yeah, someone's run wide. Look at that pace there. Moves forced Lickle into a locking front tyres. Its front right locked up there. Through the curbing now. He's giving them a nice little bump drop as they make their way through the stadium, making their way through the hotel section, through the final corner. And now can he have a little keep through the final corner? It's not normally an overtaking zone. He thinks better of it. And it's just lining him up here, but Lickle is struggling compared to Lucas, and Lucas breezes past him. Lickle lets him pass, and there goes the Haas driver, moving himself up into P5. Next up here is the hateful Onyx, and is there a potential opportunity here for a race? Penalty there. He has dropped in and maybe just killed his chances. The pit, Dan Daniel, but who have been going on them. Good little shot there from the. There's a look at Alex, who has got in his sights Casper just behind him. You can see there he's technically not bad. Maneuver done at 9 at Lickle, who may just have very. Let's see what he's able to do. Rafa is just close enough to consider the manoeuvre, but he's close to execute order at 66, and this situation tries to ride up on his rear end, keeping it nice and smooth. Oh, I think he is just about to say. Roy, who's leading the Grand Prix, has been exceptional here this evening. 6 seconds ahead of Onyx. I think he's got this Grand Prix wrapped up. It's a perfect way to end a Grand Prix. Just the way that he's done an absolutely exceptional job in gliding his way through the season. No one really got close to him. He's had a massive gap throughout the season. Casper finally comes into the pits, and if you have to say an exceptional performance for any young esports driver to look at, it's Roy, who has absolutely breezed through the pack. And there's been some competition. You've had Michael, Lucas, the H Eagle's been up there a few times. He's had Casper, he's had Nico, he's had countless drivers. Tim Palm, his long-term partner in crime, his teammate as well, and he's really shown a solid amount of maturity to win this championship in the style he has. Casper, who is a very decent position. He's got a lot of clear air ahead of him. He's got 6.2 seconds. He's on the ultra soft tyres. He's ahead of Nolan, who's 7 seconds behind him. Lucas filling it out with the guy 7, which is the H Eagle, who's got past with pretty much ease, because the H Eagle is starting to struggle on his tyres. Now Lucas into a podium place. He's 1.6 seconds behind Onyx. If Roy's going to have any competition, it's coming from the Flying Brit in the Haas car, the new Haas team, of course, who have been making a bit of a splash in Formula 1 within the last few seasons, with Gunther Steiner at the helm. Have now got the British driver for the Vodafone team, and he's really solid pace here this afternoon. 1.2 seconds now to Onyx. He might just find himself in a little spot of bother in the size and shape of the American outfitted car of Haas. Picked up another 3-second time penalty. We'll quickly look at how many penalties he's got. Oh, he's got absolutely crap tons, so he's picked up quite a few penalties. So too, though, has Onyx. Not a single penalty for Roy, and that just for me shows the cut above that he is of every other driver. Tupai with his 20th corner cutting penalty. He's a little bit behind, so he's pretty much set himself up for last place for one final time. Him and Best Bob battling for last place. It's 14th for Best Bob. Looking pretty much set. I can't see him catch to Louis. Here comes Lucas on Onyx. If he gets past him, he can still pull away a sizable gap as Onyx just breezes in there. You can see how close it is. You can see Lickle and Rafa just behind as well. But we'll stay with down and just keeps it nice and clean. That's what I do. Just put up the corner nicely and get early on the power. DRS and slipstream available to him. I dare say he's using his energy recovery. Pulled out to the right hand side. It'll be the outside line, turning into the inside. The Force India, they're just clipping him. They get stuck on each other's side pods, and the Haas has got the manoeuvre done, but it's a little bit scrappy compared to what they'd like. Here comes Rafa further behind in that McLaren, battling with the McLaren of Lickle, with Alex just in the background, potentially maybe getting himself involved. You can see a Toro Rosso Cherry Tupai who's been. There is the McLaren going around the outside. Cherry Tupai is probably getting a beautiful view of this. Who emerges on top? It looks like Rafa's going to hold on to it, which he does do so. Rafa in the Mercedes beating out the pink helmeted McLaren driver. Lovely contrast. I've got to say, I've never seen electric blue, tangerine orange and pink in such a contrast, but it seems to work for him, and if that's what he likes, that's what he likes. Everyone has their own individual taste, you can say. Is there any close battles on track still? Lickle still battling Rafa, I think, is where our entertainment is going to come from in this Grand Prix. Oh, Lickle there getting a little bit wavy there out the corner. He's just struggling slightly. Cliffy has left the session. Sadly, this race ended earlier on after retiring from the pit lane. Cherry Tupai is showing significant pace but can't overtake because of the blue flags and the fact that Rafa and Lickle are involved in a pretty tight battle. He'll probably not be the biggest, not have the most support from these two. If he does get himself involved in a battle he has no right to be getting involved with. Lucas is gaining onto Roy. It's 5.2 seconds now to him, but this battle between Lickle and Rafa is the closest on track as Lickle pulls over to the side. I think they'll let Cherry Tupai go. There he goes. So maybe trying to use Cherry Tupai and his slipstream, a bit of a battering ram almost, to gain onto the rear end of the Mercedes. Rafa try and distract him, try and let him push on and gain some places. 6th place for Lickle is an impressive performance. Cherry Tupai has been by the majority of behind the 40-second gap car ahead of him, which is Louis. Bob a bit up the road. Made Lickle picking up another time penalty, just hunting them down, but it looks like Lickle is Casper, and pit mat is where the next battle on track is seemingly coming from. The Ferrari hailing Nottinghamshire versus the flying Dutchman of Casper, the young buck, a young lad, young teenage lad who is absolutely flying in the esports team. Just signed his first esports contract with the VSR driving team. A great driver, competing in AOR's F2 as well. Big fan of this lad as he's hunted down with one of the VRC of pits. Later regret 64 versus 99. Here they go. That's struggling a little there on the exit of the final corner. Lap 21 of 28 for Roy. He's 4 seconds ahead of Lucas. We'll keep an eye on that gap because it could get very tight between these two, with Pitmat just ahead of Casper as things stand. This is where the drama is going to be coming from, folks. He's hunting him down at the unseen rate of knots there. He's closing in. He's getting closer and closer into his visceral view there. He's just a little speck on his in his visor, and now turned to one of a blob. It's a bright red indeed. DRS will be available to the Dutchman now as he hunts down that Ferrari. It's getting closer and closer. You can see the sponsorships. You can smell the exhaust. I've got to say, Shell Petrol has a definite distinct smell, and Casper's got a full whiff of it there, and then breezes his way into some to get past the Ferrari there, moving himself up into P8 ahead in the Ferrari. He's had a season, to be fair to him. He's done a good job in almost every single race this season. Has only missed a couple due to personal reasons. A great driver, and they've shown himself to have some decent talents here on a full grid when everyone is showing their face. Casper picks up a time penalty there. Alex is hunting down Lickle, who's dropped a little bit behind, but is still considered Rapper in his sights. Lucas versus Roy is going to get very tasty. It's down to 3.1 seconds. He's gaining a second a lap compared to the driver who currently leads this Grand Prix. So Roy, who's had it pretty easy, apart from a couple of little scraps with Nico, who's retired from this session for the second week running, has retired from a session. He is now being hunted down by one of his old arch rivals, not just from but from VRC as well. They love a little scrap, these two. You can see Cherry 2 Pie is having a little bit of a battle with Best Bob, who has come into the pits for a fresh set of tyres. Is getting involved with the H Eagle as well, who's in between him and Rafa. Them two are going to be absolutely flying. We'll see if we can spot what is going to happen here, because I think Best Bob is going to be able to get past the H Eagle here, which could have a net impact on these drivers. Here comes Best Bob then. He's hunting down the H Eagle, pulling away a little bit from Cherry 2 Pie, pulls out to the side, and that could be compromise the H Eagle. There goes Rafa on Cherry 2 Pie, lapping him, putting two cars in between Best Bob and Cherry 2 Pie in the battle for last place. Rafa now could maybe conceivably start to hunt him down. You can see Lucas down to 2.4 seconds. If he gains 4/10 of a second gained compared. What's the gap with Lickle? He's being properly hunted down by Alex now, as you can see from this third person camera view. Look at him pushing him through there as they emerge at bridge, as they're just going to breeze through these final few corners. I think Williams Alex will have a matter of time and could still maybe pick up P4 in this Grand Prix, a potential podium as well if he flies at a quick enough speed. Hunting down Lickle, and just ahead of Lickle is Rafa, who's can just see a little bit of battle with Cherry 2 Pie behind him, who's much quicker as Best Bob's starting to pull away, so maybe Cherry 2 Pie is regretting doing it. Alex has got the maneuver done into turn 1 on Lickle, who has been struggling on his super soft tyres. 13 lap old supers, not the oldest tyres out there, sorry, it's actually the joint oldest with the H Eagle, who is on 13 lap old tyres as well. Pit Matt is on 12 lap tyres, so too Onyx. Lickle though has been overtaken by Alex. Further up the field, is it getting close enough for Lucas? It's down to 2 seconds, it's 1.9 now to come through the chicane section in the middle sector of this Grand Prix. It's going to be tight. So lap 23 of 28, I think Lucas is going to have a couple of cracks at the whip if he wants to get it done. But is he going to be Indiana Jones, or is he going to be an old boarding school teacher? What will the accuracy be like of his cracking skills when it comes to whipping Roy into shape here this evening? As the clouds have started to cover, the track is much cooler. Dark conditions are here, and maybe, just maybe, the multi to start. We saw Roy had some serious pace once he heated them up after around about 5 or 6 laps compared to the drivers around him, and these super softs are much more tortoise and hair compared to the hair. They're much longer and their lifespan is much more superior compared to the ultra soft tyre. 1.4 seconds between the two of them. Further down the field, Rafa is onto the rear end of the H Eagle, and behind him is 1.7 seconds to Alex, who's just behind him. You can see him emerging in the shot there with Lickle as well. Cherry 2 Pie has dropped in behind and just let these guys battle it out. Best Bob has actually got him. So you can see Louis in the ghost car has dropped in behind Best Bob there and promoted him up into 13th, which will promote Cherry 2 Pie up as well. They're all nice and tight, but here comes Raph closing in on the H Eagle. But we're going to move to the lead of the Grand Prix because Lucas has gained significant amounts of time on Roy in the first sector alone. He's down to 7/10 of a second, which means now he has DRS, and Roy is aware of the pace that Lucas has. He wants to have the perfect finale here. He wants to have the ultimate ending to his season, picking up just the way he started with pure dominance. He wants to end the season on the high and be crowned the ultimate driver of the Virtual Racing Championship. He won the championship weeks ago, but now he is getting closer and closer to having that dream of having the perfect end to the season heading into season 2. Will he be able to retain his championship? Well, Lucas wants to get a good start to the season nice and early and have the momentum well and truly on his side. He's being hunted down now with the Williams gym driver. Roy is really talented, but he may just be out talented this afternoon by the Haas of Lucas. There goes the Mercedes of Rafa, who's hunted him down nicely and got it done. Lovely little shot we're going to get here as we see 3 cars separated by 4/10 of a second. We'll look at Williams Alex, who's going to have a great view as they make their way through the final section. of corners, hunting him down. H. Eagle is starting to struggle a little bit. He's on a very old set of the super soft tyres. Lucas on lap 25 of 28. He has another time penalty. If he gets past Roy, it will be in vain, as Roy will win this Grand Prix based on penalties alone. But who will have the final say on track? It'll be a big positive for Lucas if he can beat him on track and get past him, especially heading into this weekend's AOR Grand Prix around the same circuit. Pitman picking up a time penalty. I think that might be safe for P10 though. He's got a 23-second gap to Apex ahead of him. Cherry 2 is pitted undoubtedly to go for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Here comes Lucas then. He's going to have Slipstream and DRS available to him. Williams Roy pulls over to the side. A little bit of wheel barge, a little bit of a hand flying in the sky there. Who's going to come out on top? We'll just see emerging. There's the Haas car ahead of the Red Bull as he moves up into the leaders Grand Prix, and Lucas fulfills his destiny and get past the Red Bull there. Let's see what the Red Bull of Roy can do as he peels to one side. Lucas wheel barging there round the outside, front right lock up for the Red Bull. Is he going to emerge ahead? Yes, he does. He comes back at him, and it's going to have to be another lap if Lucas wants to get it done. This is going to be a nail biter until the very end of the Grand Prix. Further down, Alex onto Rafa. You can see him there pulling over to the inside line, trying to get the manoeuvre done as he looks to maybe hunt down a podium. Enough to conceivably go 4 seconds between him and Onyx at the moment. Let's see it. Hunt is focused on getting that P4. Is he going to go for a lunge here in the braking zone just before the colourful hotel section as they head up the bridge? I think he's going to be close. I think I'll get up Lucas, because he is the one who we all have to watch as he battles with Roy through the final, the virtual one, and what a scene with a day countless leads and great races last week. Of course, an absolute classic in Brazil, easily for me best Grand Prix I have been able to say I've been able to commentate on, alongside Pip, who stepped in after us halfway through. Will be a season, and we hope to see many of the drivers get back. It's Roy versus Lucas, and who's going to come out on top in this little squabble? There's some beef between these two, and Lucas will be gutted he couldn't get the move done last time around. I don't think he's going to be close enough here to get it done on Roy. Will stay with him as he hunts down. This is for the race victory, of course. Let's see who's on top. He breaks a little bit late, but cannot get it done. We're now shuttle down to Alex, who has got the move on wrap up. 3 seconds to Onyx ahead of him, who's hunting. He's on a much quicker set of the hyper soft tyres. I don't think Best Bob's going to let him go by much easy, considering the pace Best Bob has. I think he's actually going to start to pull away. This might be slowing down Onyx slightly, but I think he has at all, because he is not close enough. Best Bob, in fact, Best Bob I think has just overtaken him, so Best Bob I think P1 50 seconds behind Dan Daniel. I don't think there's any chance of points for him, Dan Daniel or Apex this afternoon. Lucas is now pushing him up the hill on the penultimate lap. Going to have to do this section, and VRC for this, and Lucas will be desperate to done quick as possible. He's starting to struggle a little bit on them, so the ultras are now going to where compared, a not great line there, which actually give Roy much better exit on the corner, and you because Roy needed to be a bit smarter. He was too busy trying to pressurise him into manoeuvre. He's not following him in the slipstream either, so Lucas needs to get close as possible if he wants to get anything, and needs to get a good exit out of the corner. Lucas showing a bit of immaturity there to get a good enough line. He needs to try and maximise his exit out of the corner, which he's going for now. You can see there, much better exit compared to last time around, and he's closer to Roy than he was through that last section. Slipstream available to him. Here comes the ERS. He's going to one side. That's going to be the right side. He wants to go switch back late up the inside. Can he get it slowed down in time? Yeah, he can. He's able to. No, he is not. And Lucas gets the manoeuvre done. Late braking. A lovely little switchback from him there. A great showing from Lucas on the penultimate final, and he may well take the checkered flag to win the Grand Prix. But penalties will have a major effect, of course, but a great shot in there for Roy, and Roy may still have a part to say in this still. He's not too far behind, and we know he's got great straight line speed. We'll go down to Alex now, who's closing on Alex for that final podium place. It came to a rapid rate of knots. You see Best Bob was pulled away, so Onyx wasn't being held up there. In fact, he was being overtaken. I could feel himself maybe still able to get P4. Still a podium with these two tangled, which isn't implausible knowing them. See if Alex can get a manoeuvre done into the first corner here. We've seen him do it before. Is he going to go for the manoeuvre nice and early? No, he does not. We'll go with Roy and Lucas for one final time as they come through the hairpin. We'll see if Roy, no, he's not close enough, so able to get it done. So we'll stick with and Onyx, who are going to be the two battling here. We'll stay with them as they go down the two DRS straights. Then we'll cut to Lucas, who's going to come across the line. We'll stay with Roy, who's probably going to win this Grand Prix. There. We'll go with Alex once again, who's very close, and Rafa is going to feel he has an opportunity to maybe get involved in this battle as well. There goes Alex pulling to the inside line. You can see now he's hunting down. He's got Onyx there even before the braking zone. Here comes Rafa in the background there. You can see him. Is he going to be later on the brakes compared? He is, and Onyx is finding himself dropping down into P5 there compared to the two of them. Yellow flags in sector 2 and 3. Who's gone round? Looks like the H Eagle's going slowly. Who is that? That is Best Bob going slow. Is it just Best Bob? I'm not too sure. I'm not sure at all who it is there, but we're gonna, I don't know, let's have a look, see if we can see. Oh, it's you've got Dan Daniels spinning around there as well. Dan Daniels completely crashed out, but we're going to go on board with Lucas, but we're actually going to go with Roy, who's going to win this Grand Prix with Lucas's penalties. He's driven the in pure style, and he's going to finish the season the way he started it, with another 25 points. Roy comes across the line and wins the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and crowns off a successful championship here in the Virtual Racing Championship. Congratulations to him on a fruition championship. He's been absolutely superior than every other driver that he's come across. Nobody can touch him. He finishes 12 seconds ahead of Alex. He finishes P2 with Lucas in third. A huge congratulations to Roy, who has once again shown his talent off to the world, and I dare say is a very likely candidate to have esports success in the near future. Alex finishes second then with Lucas crossing the line in third of his penalties. The H Eagle in fourth. Casper promotes himself up into fifth with Onyx in sixth. Rafa, who finished ahead of him, has too many penalties and is down in seventh. Lickle crosses the line in eighth with Nolan crashed up just ahead of him in ninth. 10th then is Apex with Pitmat spinning, doing donuts. Cherry Tupai also doing donuts as well, so we'll stay with Cherry Tupai, who looks to be doing donuts. It looks like Best Bob is also doing donuts for some unknown reason. I mean, he's not picked up a point yet, but Cherry Tupai has crossed the line in P14, or Best Bob will also as well. So that's it. That's going to be it for this race, and that's going to be it for the Virtual Racing Championship. We hope you all have very much enjoyed, and we're going to look at the podium celebrations for one final time, and it's going to be an emotional one, you would dare say, for Roy, who's had a flawless season and finishes the championship the way he started. It was a great showing from him. Dan Daniel is now doing donuts as well as he comes across the line. Casper complaining about his setup. We'll run you through the classifications for one final time as we head to the podium celebrations for the national anthems of Austria and the Netherlands. If you're a fan of Roy, soak it in, because this may well be his last podium, depending on how he shows up next season. Is he going to be able to have the package, the setup, and the... It's going to be tough. It's going to be a much closer and quicker grid compared to last time around. He started the season not that much competition. We've had races like Hungary, which a lot of drivers DNF from, and he breezed, just battling with Tim Palm for large portions of it. Penalties here as well. Some drivers made penalties. We could see a bit more challenge for Roy, but we'll run you through the classifications. Roy does win the Grand Prix, ended up picking a 3-second time penalty, but it wasn't enough for Alex to get past him in second. It's Lucas who finishes his season with a podium with the H Eagle in fourth. Casper and Onyx make it 5-6 for the Dutch drivers, with Rafa in seventh. Lickle is in eighth, the second highest Brit on the grid. Nolan in ninth. Pitmat finishes in 10th with Apex in 11th. Dan Daniel in 12th with Louis in 13th. Best Bob finishes in 14th with Cherry Tupai, in 15th. Nico, Cliffy, Ollie and Will all picked up DNFs after crashing or retiring from the session here in Abu Dhabi. So it's a finale we knew was going to be quality, and it had late drama between Roy and Lucas, with Alex making his way through the field. Please put down below your driver of the day and who you feel deserves the credit, and if you have plans on racing with us next season, please do let us know. But that is it from the Virtual Racing Championship. We are very, very grateful for everybody who has taken part, who has watched along, who has commented, who has interacted with us on social media. We're just shy now of 200 followers. We have grew at a very rapid rate of knots, and we are very proud to see the growth of this league. That's left to me to say is thank you to every single one of the drivers, whether you are part-time, full-time, a reserve, whether you stepped in. We'd also like to say thank you to Jordan Wilson, who has worked heavily on the website that is a little bit flawed, but we are working to build up on that. The coordinators, of course, including myself, Cameron Cherry Tupai, who has held a lot of the driver responsibilities and has interacted and made sure of the coordination. Myself, I've done the social media, the graphics, commentary, handled the more technical side of it, and then Pit Matt has done a bit of the admin work compared, and also been the third member to give us a round point of view on officiating as well. We have to say thank you to the stewards who have managed all penalties. I know some drivers haven't been too happy with certain decisions. We've had some drama and whatnot, but we are very grateful for their impact. Of course, a huge thank you as well to No Copyright Sounds for allowing us to use their music during the little issue. So thank you all very, very much for watching. We will see you next time around. Undoubtedly going to be a huge season for the Virtual Racing Championship. It will more than likely be a bit of a shorter one. We're going to have a nice little break now. The drivers are going to relax, recuperate, and enjoy themselves a nice little break. If you have enjoyed, please leave a like down below, subscribe to our channel, follow us on Twitter at official_VRC, and we will see you in Melbourne, Australia very, very soon.